So we're continuing off with a bunch of little side stories from Umineko. We last left off with a very silly Valentine's Day. And then we're reciprocating it on Beatrice's White Day, I guess. On White Day, those who gave chocolate on Valentine's Day receive gifts back. The seven sisters are excited to receive gifts, but a certain someone isn't so lucky. Alright. And here we go. Not in the frame of mind for it yet. Kion, White Day is finally here. I wonder what I'm getting. I'm so excited. That's bad. I'm not quite fully awake yet. This was the day that Asmodeus, who preferred love affairs to 3 square meals, had been looking forward to with much anticipation. So you're saying this White Day is when you get a return on last Valentine's Day? Belphegor asked in the way of a person that understood something in theory, but not so much in practice. For once, Asmodeus, the youngest child, answered her older sister's question excitedly. White Day is? White Day isn't just some day you get some candy in return for Valentine's Day. It's a response to the love you've given, to feel your partner's love deepen and throb, and look forward to quiet, peaceful time together, an event that's both ancient and refined. And, of course, it's not just about weighing the value of the love you've exchanged. That would be boring. It's about choosing a stylish response with a proper cost and value. That's why it's so awesome. Hello, welcome. You get to gauge the temperature of your feelings against their feelings, become more intimate, take advantage of sudden meetings of love. That's what White Day is about. Favorite story, huh? Well, let's see, it's part 2. Valentine's Day. You get to gauge the temperature of your feelings against their feelings, become more intimate, take advantage of sudden meetings of love. That's what White Day is about. Do you okay, One-sama? English. I see. It seems to be an event with deep significance. Beals is so excited. I'm looking forward to what Mr. Goda is going to give me. It looks like he went training in Belgium to make chocolate. So I'm sure he'll give me white chocolate in return. Forget about love. The sweetness of chocolate is much more bewitching. Asmo's so excited. I'm looking forward to what Mr. Amakusa got her too. He's so cool. There's such good taste. It's not going to be something lame like candy. It might be jewelry, or makeup, or perfume. I can hardly wait to find out what it is. Asmodeus and Beelzebub, being the 2 youngest, had a good relationship. The other sisters had the strange sensation of being left behind in the face of the others' squealing excitement. Is it really that exciting? How pathetic for high-level furniture to be acting that way. Mammon, didn't you give yours to Zakataro? Do you really think you'll get something back? In some sense or another, Lady Angie said we should have a White Day tea party, so we made plans. We'll have a lovely time sipping tea. You certainly have been seeming more impressive lately, Mammon. So close with the group from 98. I'm so jealous. What a rapt sisterly love. I want as much love as possible, of course. I suppose that's greed for you. Mammon chuckled over getting one up over her sisters, however slightly. Mammon, surprisingly enough, valued her relationships with people. It seemed she was also greedy for friends. So it could be said, of all the 7 Stake sisters, she was the one that had the most of them. The 3 youngest sisters had their White Day schedules pretty much according to plan, and thus were looking forward to them very much. But the older sisters, not being experienced with White Day and unsure of what to expect, were waiting with some amount of trepidation. You gave something to Rudolph, right, Belpha? Are you expecting something back? He said he didn't know what to get me, so we could go shopping together. Oh, really? And did you say okay? Well, I said I thought helping middle-aged men in their laziness was one of my duties. Belphegor is dirty. Belphegor is dirty. Fine, fine. Then I've got a date with Skiri too. Lucky you, Belphy. Sounds like you're going to have an exciting day. An entire day to make Rudolph lazy. Olivia, you better not interfere. I won't get in your way. I'll just be jealous along with Kiri. You'll have 2 pairs of envious eyes following you the whole day. And a bunch of math too. Shit. Acting unlike her normal self, Belphegor gestured wildly at Leviathan in argument, voices raised. It looked like fun from the outside. Satan and Lucifer were the only 2 left. For some reason, these 2 were always the last ones to catch on to things. All of them are raising such a fuss. This is an embarrassment to the 7 sisters. What about you, Satan? You gave Canon chocolate, right? It was more like forcing it on him. Even if I wanted something, I don't think I'd get it. Last Valentine's Day, she tried to give Canon chocolate, only to meet with suspicious refusal before Jessica had chased her off. It had been just shoving it at him. He probably didn't even consider it having been given to him. In that respect, she was the one least likely to get anything in return. Zane was very prideful. She had spent the last month feeling terrible because she had been the only one whose Valentine had been thwarted. Then, suddenly there was the sensation of another person materializing. When the 2 turned around, there stood Canon with a look of distaste on his face. He might have been there for longer than it seemed, because Satan and Lucifer had been too engrossed in talking they hadn't noticed. Canon, what are you doing here? Satan cried in bewilderment. With that shameful outburst, Satan realized the reason he must have appeared, and her face grew bright red. But Canon had no sensitivity towards girls' feelings. To him, she appeared in the same foul temper as always. Back on Valentine's Day, you pushed me into taking your chocolate. It was annoying, but I thought it would be rude not to return the favor. As he was saying that, Canon reached into his pocket and withdrew a very small, but beautifully wrapped box and shoved it at her. He might have said it was a trifle given out of duty. However, the wrapping paper made it clear that this was not a cheap brand of item. Working for the Ushiromiya family meant being paid not inconsiderable wages. And since Canon had no outside interests or reasons to use money, he'd ended up with quite a store of it. You say it's out of duty, but you got me something so high class. How ridiculous. Don't worry. I just picked it up while I was getting my lady's gift. It wasn't worth going to a cheaper place just to get you something. Oh, I see. Alright, I've paid my debt. Don't ever do this again. And with that parting rejoinder, Canon vanished. Out of all the things spoken on White Day, I've paid my debt isn't one you hear very often. But somehow, it suited the 2 of them and their antagonistic relationship. Though, Lucifer thought. Suddenly, it was Lucifer who received a sharp blow from the rear. Who did... Hey there, Asne-san. Vattler. Participating in White Day too? You sure are a strange one. Aren't you the one that gave me that handmade chocolate from Valentine? And didn't I promise to give you something in return? I might believe that the past is better forgotten. But do you really think my head is empty enough to forget something a month ago? Maybe. Mattler brandished the box he'd been hiding behind his back with a ta-da. The store must have wrapped it since the packaging was neat in a way that was unlike Battler. Give me a sec. Yeah. Alright. Hey, I think I got an eyelash in my eye. Ta-da. Alright. That's better. Alright. The wrapping must have been magical. It created a person's I'm fine, it's just... The wrapping must have been magical. It captured a person's attention before they could ask what was inside. That's how Lucifer felt. I thought candy was a little immature, and I didn't know what sort of jewelry you liked. So, here. Since it's tea, it's something most people like more or less, and it's still pretty fancy. Huh? Do you hate tea? No, I don't hate it. Alright then, open it. You'll be amazed once you smell it. Since Battler was pushing her to open it, Lucifer reached towards that lovely wrapping paper. Sure, she was interested in what was inside, but unwrapping something so beautiful seemed like a waste. It was held in place by a thick, deep red ribbon, which was, in turn, adorned by a golden butterfly brooch. Huh? Was that always there? Huh? The butterfly they thought was a brooch began to flap its wings and took off. Battler was shocked, but Lucifer, who had already guessed that this sort of trick would be forthcoming, was unnerved in a different sense. The golden butterfly scales scattered and the form of the golden witch appeared. What? Beatrice Sama? Battler? You didn't buy that marriage phrase for me. Why would I buy you tea? Huh? But didn't you get something for me for White Day? I've been so excited. I've waited so long for this day to come. I saw you going to that lower level of the department store, picking out that expensive tea, and then choosing that pretty wrapping paper to show your appreciation for me. I was so sure it was a present for me. I was sure of it. And then it wasn't for me at all, but my furniture. Oh, please stop, Beatrice Sama. Don't chew on my hair. What are you doing to your subordinate? Have some shame. Really? Really, Battler? I got this for Lucifer because of the chocolate she made me. Yeah? Then where's my present? I didn't get you anything. It's not like I got any chocolate from you. But I gave you handmade chocolate, didn't I? You lied to me and said you made it, even though it was Lucifer's, so give it back. Oh, now that you mention it, I think I had it with my tea that afternoon. Was it good? Yes, delicious. Beato, being relatively forgetful, had forgotten all about the chocolate Battler had given back until her afternoon tea, whereupon with a, "Oh, what is this delicious-looking chocolate doing here?" she nibbled it all up like a squirrel. Do you have the brains of a squirrel, too? In any case, I didn't get any chocolate from you, therefore there's no reason for me to get you anything. No, that's wrong. You just decided not to take it. I did Valentine's Day properly, so you have to give me something for White Day. White Day! I was looking forward to what you were going to get me. Well, I don't have anything. Hey, if you wanted to get in a temper tantrum like a spoiled brat, fine. Embarrass yourself. Hey, Lucifer, I have something to say to you. Thank you for the delicious chocolate on Valentine's Day. Well, actually, that chocolate... In deference to her master, whose mood was rapidly worsening, Lucifer nervously thought it best to confess that she hadn't made her chocolate by hand either. But before she could, a muffled thump rang out, and the area was enveloped by the smell of tea. The box of black tea had exploded. Beato, you bitch. How dare you do that to my tea? Beato rolled around in laughter as Battler and Lucifer coughed. If I'm not getting it for White Day, then it might as well not exist. That's what you get, Lucifer. Leaving behind only her voice, Beato vanished in a huge storm of butterflies. She had mistaken White Day for a holiday like Christmas, so she was certain that as long as someone gave a man chocolate on Valentine's Day, they were sure to receive some sort of exciting present in return on White Day. So she had prepared chocolate for Battler in hopes of forcing him to give her something on White Day out of a sense of obligation. But then Lucifer had gotten something and she hadn't gotten anything. She didn't like that one bit. Then getting all worked up over something so trivial had made her mood even worse. Probably not. Probably not. Anyway, welcome, Anya Beato. Welcome, welcome. You got 2 Beatos now. Oh boy. And now there's 2 of them. All the time she had spent under the covers with her hands folded, excitedly waiting until White Day finally arrived, suddenly seemed so hateful. Now, show yourselves, cavalry of Pendragon, the Chester sisters. With a wave of Beatrice's pipe, Chester 45 and Chester 00 appeared. They're more like silly side stories and like what-if type things. Not really canon, I'd imagine. Oh, how unusual. 00 has entered the summons. I beg your pardon. 410 is participating in the Heavenly Sniper Exchange program today, so please allow me to appear in her stead. Heavenly Sniper? That's quite a mouthful. Sounds like some sort of fraudulent excuse for training. Ma'am, since White Day is a continuation of Valentine's Day, there's too much work for love snipers alone to handle. It's customary to request assistance from one of the Imperial Guard Corps. I had no idea. I think Cupid could have a manpower shortage. Due to 410's skill as a sniper, countless couples are rumored to form every year. See, they're talking about Cupid. An expression of obvious displeasure rose to Beato's face. And then a toothy grin, like she was getting ready to rip into something. Siesta sisters, I have a number of targets for you today. Ready your bows and prepare to fire. Understood. 45, enter firing preparations mode. Lady Beatrice, your target? More and even more. I'll call it Operation White Day Annihilation. Yeah, neither did I. I'm reading a fan translation of a Japanese-only version of it, I believe. I was given this by Umineko Beatrice, the viewer and the my follower and moderator and friend, and whatever lofty title I've forgotten. And thus, on that day, the peaceful, heartwarming White Day that should have been was ripped into pieces, one by the Chester sisters, shooting. First target, the small boxes. Boxes. Of course it's the fucking boxes. The small box Asmodeus received from Amakusa. I just got that from Amakusa-sama. I didn't even get to see what was inside. That's not important. I can always just buy you another one. More importantly, just be glad that you're not hurt, right? Amakusa-sama, you're too amazing to be real. Next target, that irritating Amakusa. What's been lost isn't important, it's... Yeah, Amakusa-sama, stay strong. Cool. Second target. Goda's full course of chocolate that Beelzebub was just about to eat. The chocolate Goda-sama learned how to make while training in Belgium exploded into my mouth. Impossible. It's a royal family's secret recipe. Did I make a mistake somewhere? Am I so unskilled? I'm going back to Belgium for training. Forget about going back to Belgium. Just make me another badge. However, Goda had already left to seek the mystery of Belgium chocolate. Again. Third target. the pancakes Angie had made for her tea party with Mammon and Sakataro. Angie-sama, Sakataro, are you alright? I had no idea that pancakes would become explosive if cooked for too long. Good going, me. I guess there was a reason I got such low scores in home economics. Let's make pancakes while we're enjoying the aroma of the tea. But because this is something I can't acquire through money, I might burn some of them. And now we're surrounded by the burning stench. No, even if you burn pancakes to charcoal, they shouldn't explode. Don't tell me. Who are you? I'm okay, somehow. Are you okay, Angie? What about you, Mammon? Sakataro wasn't targeted. Does that mean someone from the Alliance is attacking us? Fourth target. Rudolph, currently shopping with Belphegor. Rudolph, are you alright? So this is the action they took. Sorry, sweetheart. Looks like they mistook you for my woman. At least I was able to protect you. Of course, they were actually aiming at Rudolph. Trying to dodge while pretending to protect is one of Rudolph's talents. Beato who stole the White Day. Yeah. And if it fails, it's the perfect technique for making it look like you were trying to defend someone. And of course, Belphegor, unused to moves like this, was completely taken in. Me? They were aiming at me? But that's sniping. It can't be. You know, a man that defends a woman can usually be revived with a kiss. I'm not gonna fall for that one. Let's get you some medical help right now. Fifth target. Kiri, currently stalking Rudolph with the Leviathan. You alright? Hang in there. Your wound isn't deep. That was close. Master, taking this in your stead, I, Leviathan of Envy, don't regret this. Even though you're a steak. Don't act so full of yourself. Let me help you to a hospital. Forget about that, Master. I'd rather see you bring down divine wrath upon that cheater Rudolph. I'll watch from here, so please. See? Look. Him with Belphegor. I'll take you to a hospital in a moment. I hope they have 2 beds open. 24 times 365 times insanity. Sixth target. The bottle of perfume Satan got from Cannon. But was that just now the Chester sisters? This must be my punishment for getting caught up in White Day. That's right. Cannon isn't any ordinary rival. But he has such good taste. I thought it might be okay. It hurts. Unacceptable. Put yourself together. I am furniture in service to Beatrice-sama, one of the 7 sisters. Satan of Wrath. I shouldn't be upset. Just because something from him got broken. 7th target. That tea was forgot from... who cares. Go directly for that obnoxious battler. Oh, Endless 9. Barrier. Deflection. He deflected it. He isn't human. We cannot penetrate this anti-magic barrier. Please give us our next target, Lady Beatrice. So you're the one behind this, Beato. You've been destroying everyone's White Day. I've had enough of this. What's the point of White Day if I don't get anything? If I've wrecked everything, it's just what they deserve. Just look at all the White Days I've managed to secretly destroy. Secretly. With another wave of her pipe, the Chester sisters vanished in a puff of smoke, one after the other. Well, my stupid old man got what's coming to him. But aside from that, you're just horrible. You damn demonic witch. All I've been doing is making up for the slight given to me this White Day. Fear me. Worship me. My wrath will continue for 7 years, 7 months, and 7 days. From this day forward, both Valentine's Day and White Day will be broken in my name. How's that? Do you regret what you've done? I wanted to hear you say, Beato-sama, please forgive me. I promise I'll get you something on White Day. But don't give me like that. Give me like what you got for Lucifer. Mine better be something more expensive than that. God. Quit screwing around. Who the hell would want to do it? Would want to do what a lying, selfish witch like you says? Battler's response caused Beato's mood to rapidly change, and she fell silent. Valentine's Day and White Day. They are all about the feelings that spring from your heart. Someone who thinks of them as excuses to get stuff doesn't deserve anything. Bear with me. Oh. So you're saying I don't have the qualifications to receive anything on White Day? Yeah, not at all. No matter what you do, I'll even declare it. No, I'll declare it in red. I will never, ever, from this day forward, get you something for White Day. Battler pronounced it. And though Beato returned his words with a bitter grin, she couldn't help but bite her lower lip. Fine. I'll swallow your declaration. I hate Valentine's Day. I hate White Day. To all you idiots out there, I will never forget this day. I will not allow another White Day to pass. I will erase White Day. Bold claims. Master, I just wanted something for White Day too. There. Now you've gone and done something thoughtless, only to up making a mess of things and become upset with yourself, right? Oh, there. Good grief. This was the natural continuation of last month's Valentine's Day story. Now that I think about it, it's all your fault, Ranave. Battler called me a liar because you made that chocolate. My goodness, how regrettable. I could have sworn I made that chocolate under Milady's orders. And wasn't it delicious? Wasn't the aroma suitable for even the quartered Latin delicious? It was good. I nibbled it all day. And it couldn't have been my fault. It must have been yours, my lady. That's correct. You shouldn't blame Ranave. Then all this is Lucifer's fault. She told Battler her chocolates were handmade, and that's why Battler called me a liar. Isn't that exactly what my lady wanted to do? It isn't Lucifer's fault. She's furniture that works hard to fulfill your exact commands every day. I'll be very cross if you misuse her. Yes, really. Then, if it isn't Ranave's fault, isn't Lucifer's fault, then is it Battler's fault? Oh, honestly, this child. It's just like Battler told you. Don't make the mistake of thinking White Day is an excuse to be given something. Even using duty chocolate as an example, it's said men and women still enjoy the bitter sweetness of it. It needs to be done with grace. Those who give Valentine's Day chocolates in the hopes of coercing someone to reciprocate on White Day are not elegant. Even if she was angry at Ranave and Virgilia, there was nothing she could say in response. Still, it seemed as though she couldn't quite bring herself to accept those feelings, so she continued biting her lower lip as hot tears rose to her eyes. Now be honest, you were lonely, weren't you? I wanted to get something on White Day too. It's not fair. All the stakes got what they wanted. Lucifer even got tea from Battler, but I didn't get anything, and now I'll never get anything. Not next year, not ever. It's so dull, I can't stand it. Beato buried her face in Virgilia's dress as she cried. Virgilia and Ranave looked at one another and sighed. Now listen carefully, Beatrice. If you want Battler to get you something on White Day, you have to give him chocolate that you've put feelings into. It doesn't matter if it isn't well made. And if making it proves entirely impossible, you can go buy one at the store, as long as you choose it with care. What you need is the desire to make him happy. If I do that, Battler will reciprocate on White Day? As long as you put your feelings into it, he will. As far as handmade chocolate goes, I can take a chocolate recipe intended for a professional such as myself, with a cool smile, and modify it so that even a beginner like Milady can make something sweetly sweet. It's not difficult to make chocolate from your heart. So, next year, if I make Battler Valentine chocolate, you won't be in a bad mood anymore? I have to wait until next year? So that means Battler will be looking at me with those cold eyes all the time? I don't want that. Virgilia sighed and then smiled wryly. At least Beato had settled down. All it usually took was time, and the patience to help her express her thoughts properly. She was actually quite an obedient child, when she got down to it. Easier said than done. Well, Beatrice, why don't we do this? I'll use my most sacred spell to turn back time to the day before Valentine's Day. Huh? What? But magic that amazing actually exists? The ability to turn back time? Who would have thought Madame could use such an impressive secret spell? No, I guess it's not so shocking, considering it's you, Madame. Even now, you're still full of surprises. Time regression. A skill that could shock even the great demon Ranove. If Beato used this magic, this time she'd definitely be able to make chocolate and give it to Battler. This is not a magic that can be used very often in one's lifetime. I'll use it for you, but can you promise to not waste this chance? Okay, I understand. Since you'll be going back in time, you must struggle against time's currents. If you relax your guard for even a moment, the spell will dissipate. Be careful. Alright, I will. Even though I'm the one casting this spell, you will have to cover the cost of maintaining the world of the past with your own magical power. I get it already. How should I go about it? You must believe in it. If you doubt that this is the world of the past, the spell will break. That's the basis of magic. As long as you believe, there's nothing magic can't accomplish. I know. Then Beatrice, off you go to the day before Valentine's Day. This time, take it seriously and put your heart into it, alright? With a snap of Virgilia's fingers, Beatrice was transformed into a swarm of golden butterflies and transported to the kitchen after Virgilia and Ranove had seen her off. Time regression is quite the tiring art. Indeed it is. If it was just me, I doubt I'd be able to pull it off. Indeed. Even with our small amount of cooperation. The day is the day before Valentine's Day. Have the calendar, newspaper, televisions, and all of the related items been attended to? Yes, to my knowledge, madam. I'll leave the rest to you. Steaks, have you been paying attention? Yes, predecessor Sama. Thus, everything was set a month back to the day before Valentine's Day. Only Beato was unaware. Oh dear. Beato, having been transported to the kitchen, paged through the recipe book. Of many of the pages were tags with the word easy written on them, pointing out chocolate recipes simple enough for even a beginner to make. Time travel. Of course, this was prepared by Ranove. If I'm supposed to take this seriously, I can't do something easy. I'll show them what I can really do. And so, in her enthusiasm, Beato ignored the tags and chose a complicated recipe that looked good. Ranove could certainly make this. And how is it possible that I, Ranove's master, wouldn't be able to do the same? I'll make everyone regret underestimating me. Good grief. Virgilia, watching through the magical three-way mirror, sighed. It seems like she never learned. Half a day went by in what was a spectacular violence that would have shocked the culinary world. Chocolate exploded out of pots. Chocolate was sweetly scorched, exploded, and pulverized. Chocolate grew legs and ran around the kitchen. Chocolate grew wings and took to the air. Thus, a butterfly net was soon added to Beto's chocolate-making utensils. By this time, you couldn't even call what she was doing making chocolate. However, even though she had failed enough times that the kitchen was coated in chocolate, and the scent of it hung heavy in the air, she never forgot her purpose. This chocolate's absolutely stuffed with my feelings, considering how hard I've worked to make it. That damn Battler better accept it and give me something amazing on White Day. As she left, while mixing it in the pan, her mind brought forth the words of her master. Don't make the mistake of thinking White Day is an excuse to be given something. That's right. This is the chance Master gave me with her secret ability. I can't think like that. That sort of attitude is what I'm trying to solve with a spell. Beato looked up at the page-a-day calendar that indicated that this was 13th of February, and imagined how it had been previously, before shaking her head and engrossing herself once again in her work. Oh, something smells great. So you've decided to push yourself into candy making, huh, Beato? I guess this means Armageddon is approaching. That voice. Gap? The refrigerator opened and out stepped Gap. She hadn't actually been lurking in there. She had just used the fridge door to materialize one of her warp holes. She, since directly appearing so suddenly in front of a friend was rude, she used the appearance of a door as a measure of small etiquette. Did I pick a bad time to come and play? Are you busy? I don't mind. You chose a good time to be a test subject for my samples. Considering the condition of the kitchen from all your chocolate making, I might have to think that one over. Even Gap was dazed over the state of things. But even more than that, she didn't understand why Beato was going to the effort. Hey Beato, why are you making chocolate? For Valentine's Day, of course. I have to have it for tomorrow, right? Isn't today White Day? Beato stopped stirring. From the way the atmosphere froze, Gap guessed there was something more to this. But there was no helping what she had said now. I'm sorry, did I say something wrong? You look busy. I'll just be going now. See you later. Beato didn't respond. Gap opened another warp portal and vanished into it without another word. All that remained was Beato, frozen like time had stopped. Of course, I had my doubts. After all, magic that powerful shouldn't have taken just a snap of Master's fingers. Saltiness slipped past her nose. Tears fell one by one into the bowl with the melted chocolate. I'm such an idiot. How much stupider could I get? I can't even be angry at anyone. It was my fault for being dumb enough to fall for such a ridiculous lie. I'm upset at myself more than anything. Deliberately, naively, thoroughly. And I only found out after I'd finally gotten close to tempering the chocolate. Who cares anymore? This is stupid. This bowl I have in my hands. I'll get rid of it. Toss it out. I only worked a few hours. This bowl that I spent so little time on is blocking my way to atonement. Why can't I toss it aside? All I can do is cry. Valentine's Day, White Day. I wonder why I was so excited over them. It wasn't really because of love or anything. But I wonder. It's just this season. The time of year when the cold weather ends and the air begins to warm. I wanted to be able to feel that too. It wasn't even really the prospect of getting something. Isn't today the day before Valentine's Day? Why is it the 14th of March? It was too late. All of it. All of the feeling she'd had toward experiencing the 2 mysterious days of Valentine's Day and White Day had already. The calendar was just a trick of Ranave's. It might read February 13th, but that was a lie. Just like the calendar says, it's February 13th. It's not February 13th? Then what is the date, huh? Battler? Why'd he come into the witch's kitchen? But she didn't even need to ask before he already answered. I came to see what weird chocolate smell was. I sure got to see something funny. A witch named Beto working her ass off making chocolate for tomorrow. I wonder who she's planning on giving it to. Well, sure hope it isn't me. Battler's acting was terrible. If he'd been a little bit better, Beto's wounded heart might have mended slightly. But that acting only made Beto smile bitterly. She understood. Teacher Aranove must have spoken to Battler and told him about my laughable circumstances and asked him to help out. This is pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. One of the world's greatest witches, Beatrice the Golden, acting so absurdly. Battler himself had probably realized how bad his own acting was. Of course, there was no way to continue the deceit with such obvious lies and simplistic acting. It was time to end the charade. She smirked wickedly at Battler and began to verbally abuse him. Things would go back to the way they were before. In other words, back to rough and tumble scrambling. Then, once again, for the last time, she remembered her master's words. You must believe in it. If you doubt that this is the world of the past, the spell will break. That's the basis of magic. As long as you believe, there's nothing magic can't accomplish. That's right. I'm the great witch that can master any sort of incredible magic. I'll show you how great my mastery of magic really is. That's right. You figured it out. I'm making chocolate for Valentine's Day tomorrow. You can be sure whoever gets my chocolates is in for a surprise. Surprise, huh? Did you put something in there? That's not something that shouldn't be eaten, right? How rude. I'll have you know this is 100% perfectly normal Valentine's Day chocolate. It's a miraculous once-a-year holiday where the world's men get chocolate labored over by women. I wanted to participate too. I didn't know you had such a girly side to you. Strangely, as the conversation progressed, Battler's words became more and more natural sounding, and the day began to feel more and more like it really was February the 13th. I wonder if the man I give these chocolates to will get me anything on White Day. Yep, I'm sure he will. Even if the red truth was used to say he wouldn't get me anything on White Day, there's no way he can, right? No, he can. How? All he has to do is use the blue truth, like this. White Day is on the same day as Valentine's Day, just a month later. So tomorrow, when the man accepts your chocolate, he'll reciprocate a month from the day it's given. Valentine's is tomorrow, right? Yeah? Then he'll give it to you a month later. And since that day, a month later, isn't technically White Day, the person you're giving your chocolate to won't be violating the red truth. He's quite the sophist. Hey, look at what you've done. I messed up the tempering again because you were chattering away. Now I have to start all over from the boiling water. You help too. My arms are getting tired. Don't be so pushy. You want me to help, right? I guess I can spend some time with you, just for today. Tap. It seems there was a noise from the other side of the kitchen, but all that was there was the fridge. Was it the sound of the door closing? What is it? Your face is bright red. Did I do something wrong? It's nothing. Look, it's boiling. It's boiling. This is so much trouble. Maybe I should just dip you in chocolate and shove you in the oven. Beatrice's White Day. Beatrice no White Day. Umineko no Nakakoro ni Tsubasa. That was a cute little story. All you have to do is believe. Time travel. Now, Beatrice all you have to do is not be so stupid, and things will work out for you. Cornelia, the new priest. Cornelia, having dreamt of it for so long, begins her job as an inquisitor aide. However, her dreams and goals regarding the job seem a bit out of touch with reality. With the Repentance Enforcement Agency, the laws of the Great Court of Heaven are strictly enforced. Its inquisitors of heresy are praised as knights of the law, and countless virtuous youths dream of nothing but joining their ranks. So when Cornelia became an inquisitor aide, no one that knew her was surprised in the slightest. It was the dream of the future that she had written in her grade school yearbook, and now she had simply made it a reality. Cornelia, the new priest. There were things that surprised her upon entry, though. The first and foremost was the amount of free time the job had. While it's true that the top inquisitors are incredibly busy, the department Cornelia had been assigned to was much slower in regards to workload. And further betraying her expectations, the atmosphere could only be described as loose. Please allow me to speak. Cornelia, Minister 3rd Class, reporting for duty. Senior officers, if you'd give me the honor of your orders. I don't think there's anything right now. Oh, wait, could you give me a refill on my tea? And you don't need to use court language at normal times. That was the answer given to Cornelia by her senior officer on her first day of work, as she stood at attention, ready to fulfill her duties. May I humbly bring your attention that the usage of court language while on duty is mandated in the official service regulations. Oh, well, it used to be like that, but the 7th District negotiated with the union, and now it only has to be used outside the offices. Don't you think court language is way too stiff? As much as I just love to keep talking about rules and regulations, I wanted to let you know that lunch break is actually from 11:45 to 1 instead of 12 to 1. Madam, I was informed that our lunchtime was at 12 to 1. At 3, we're supposed to have a 15-minute break, right? All we did was add that time to lunch instead. The union said it was fine. This is right. This is the right you seniors in this office worked hard to get you, so stop complaining. Another thing, this wasn't decided by the union or anything, but traditionally, new recruits get to work 30 minutes early in order to clean all the desks and set out the tea. Well, I suppose it is your first day, so don't feel too bad. It's been nice talking to you, Cornelia. Oh, and one more thing. The union is throwing a welcome party for all the new recruits today at 6 at the Suzuki next door. There'll be a tekadon. I'm honored by your consideration, Minister 2nd Class. Court language is the archaic way of speaking that Cornelia uses. Since the text of the law uses archaic terms, it naturally stands to reason that those that uphold it are obligated to use that language while on duty in order to properly utilize it. But since it's so different from normal speech, using all day isn't easy. That's why the union of the workers from each jurisdiction were able to lobby for loosening usage policies in every department except when dealing with places outside. And that's why all their normal conversations took place in colloquial language. Cornelia, your seat is over here. Your desk mat is new, so use it well. You have my deepest gratitude. It's alright, don't be so formal. No one's gonna get mad at you. That was the biggest shock of Cornelia's first day. To a girl who had hoped to join the Inquisitor section no matter what, whose fervent desire was to mete out the death penalty to evil, court language was the largest symbol of all of those hopes. This was the duty she had wanted to devote the entirety of her life to, the Inquisitor section. That meant equal devotion to using court language. In order to use it properly, she had begged her poor parents, insisting that I don't need an allowance, to let her attend a weekly court language conversation class. If court language wasn't used, then this couldn't possibly be called the Inquisitor section. In order to show her stalwart, single-minded devotion towards entering the Inquisitor section, Cornelia had used court language in day-to-day conversation ever since she was a child. She'd been so unnecessarily diligent in her studies, she had received top marks in court language on the Inquisitor entrance examination. She also received first prize for her usage of the language in an orational contest at her school. Because of her exceptionally high marks on the personnel examination of the Great Court, accepting her into the organization was simply a matter of course. In the ministry, usually those with exceptional marks got their choice of department. However, Cornelia had not been assigned to the department she wanted. It might have had something to do with her interviews. Whatever the case, the truth of the matter was she hadn't been assigned to repentance enforcement, as she hoped, but instead to the General Affairs Department. The duty of General Affairs was to process various types of paperwork. Of course, it was still an important department, but confronting and smiting evil was under the purview of other departments. Departments that she hadn't been assigned to at any rate. Her first choice had been the 8th District, the SSVD. Oh, it's Will. They were an elite band of witch hunters under the command of Wizard Hunting Wright, known for his rigid efficiency. If that wasn't possible, her second choice would have been the 7th District, the Eisenjunkrau. Dillinor. That's where Dillinor A. Knox, famous for her 10 wedges, resided. But instead of either of them, she ended up in the General Affairs Paperwork Department. Cornelia spoke to herself. Of course, even inside her head, she used court language. Be still, my heart. Listen closely, young Cornelia. A journey of 1,000 miles still begins with a single step. Know that this journey we've undertaken will be long and arduous until we reach our goal. She wouldn't be discouraged. She told herself that she had been posted here because she wasn't yet ready for the grander offices. But by building up achievements and recognition, the day would surely come that she could transfer to an enforcement department. Though, through her immense efforts in studying to become an Inquisitor aide, she'd passed the examination, so it would take similar effort to become a fully fledged Inquisitor of Heresy. Now, let us put forth our utmost effort, come what may. With that enthusiasm in mind, she pulled open her desk drawer in order to see what materials her predecessor had left her. There was a heavy folder packed full with documents. On top of them all, there was a book. Being on top, it must have been the single most important one. Crosswell! It was the crossword magazine known for its fabulous prizes. Crosswell. This was her predecessor's most important material? Know that this is nothing to lose heart over. She wouldn't be discouraged. That refusal to be crushed was one of her most redeeming features. Cornelia threw Crosswell into the recycling bin. Of course, she removed the staples before doing it. If the work she wanted had been given to her, it must have been because she wasn't at the level needed to carry it out. So what she needed to do was learn the work of her senior staff members and be quickly acknowledged as an independent worker. By taking on important work, she might be given more and more work with ever-increasing responsibility. And then, much like how she'd passed the Inquisitor examination, she would reach greater and greater achievements until she would earn that dangling eared carp. It was dangling eared cap. That's what it was. The dangling eared cap is a hat that only Inquisitors are permitted to wear. It got its nickname from the 2 ears that hand at the cap's sides hang. Can't read today. It said the first time you have them hang is when your desire to become an Inquisitor of Heresy has been truly granted. So her current earless hat felt like little more than a nurse's cap. Listen closely, my regulation cap. Know that one day you too shall grow a pair of ears. Someday, surely, without fail. Gripping her hat tightly with both hands, she made an oath for its future. Now, we must do our best. Merely idling will not help us learn our tasks. If we cannot learn, then we can't be entrusted with anything. We cannot just learn by listening. We cannot just wait slack-jawed for someone else to tell us what to do. Learn by doing. Take in what you see. people that wait to be told are the ones that are always called idiots by middle-aged men and branded the lazy generation out of irritation. I cannot just appeal to those that are sympathetic to my passion for studying. I'll carefully observe my senior co-workers at work and steal their methods. One of the staff members had the sports page of a newspaper out and was circling things with a red pencil. Another staff member was staring out the window into the distance while clutching a teacup, lost in thought. There was one tapping furiously away on their laptop computer. But as soon as Cornelia walked behind them, they quickly changed the screen of what they were working on. Of course, there were a few people doing paperwork, but they acted like they just had remembered they had work to do. In other words, there weren't any working habits Cornelia could use as a reference. Well, those are all very, very common working habits. Hey Cornelia, can I ask you a favor? At your leisure, Minister Second Class. Don't be so formal. It's embarrassing. Let's use my name. Now, about today's lunch. We were planning on calling Sweetfish River for noodles. Did you want anything? Sweetfish River. I have prepared a homemade lunch. Thank you very kindly, but allow me to refuse. Oh, I see. Well, would you please place the order for us? Her predecessor had left a list. Her predecessor had left her a list of telephone numbers under her desk mat, most of them for local delivery shops. Cornelia dialed 0 to reach an outside location, and then beep 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 beep. Hello, this is Sweetfish River. Madam, if I may humbly... Hello? You there? Madam, if I may humbly state that I wish to place an order for a lunchtime repast to be delivered to our abode. Huh? Hey, Pot, did you screw with this phone? You know, Mr. Abode, someone wants a repast. Oh, honestly, give me that. Yes, you've reached Sweetfish River Noodle Shop. Sir, if I may be allowed to present a list of things I wish to order. Huh? Oh, yeah, sure. Order away. Ma, it's someone from the court. They don't want no repast. Yes, your order, please. Know that my order is as follows. A serving of duck, 1 large order, tempura, katsudon. Large order of duck? Or did you want a large serving of noodles? Soba or udon with tempura? It's okay if the katsudon is Kanto style, right? Please abide for a moment while I confirm. Miss, you're a new one, right? You can just speak normally, you know. I'll wait, so go ask your superiors for their orders again. Even the owner of the noodle shop she was ordering from was telling her not to bother with the court language. Feeling like she had something stuck in her throat, she went to confirm the orders from the senior staff once again. Sir, the orders are as follows. 1 large order of duck. Tempura may be prepared in the Kanto style. As for the katsudon, if you would let me know which of the udon or soba would be preferable. Hey, wait, I didn't want a large order of duck, just regular. You got yours mixed up with mine, maybe? I ordered the large duck. Hey, what's with the tempura served Kanto style? Is that new? I'll change my order to that. Make sure the katsudon isn't the set. I want it a la carte. I'm not young anymore, so I can't eat a whole set. That's right, the other day I had to get my uric acid level checked. My old lady wouldn't shut up about it. Your orders have been received. Cornelia, that's why I keep on saying not to use court language. If you use funny phrases, the order will get messed up. Be that as it may, the noodle shop is located outside of the department. According to regulations, court language must be utilized. Hey, new girl, you doing okay? Can you repeat the order? Sir, know that the orders I have humbly gathered are as follows. 1 large order of duck. 1 regular order of duck. 1 tempura prepared in the Kanto style. 1 katsudon. Huh? Is it tempura, udon, or soba? What about the katsudon? You can pick either Kanto style that comes with an egg or Kansai style with sauce. I beg your patience. Please allow me to collect the particulars once more. Cornelia had never even been to a noodle shop before, let alone ordered delivery from one. Her first order from a noodle shop proved to be considerably more difficult to her than the personal examination of the Great Court, first class. Hey, Cornelia, I told you, if you use court language, the order is going to get messed up. This would have been the correct order. 1 large order of duck. one large order of marisoba, one tempura udon, and one order of katsudon. Since she hadn't specified udon or soba for the tempura, the restaurant had assumed they wanted a sort of combination platter. The only thing she'd gotten right were the duck and the katsudon. She had misordered 2 things. Cornelia hadn't been able to complete her first job, ordering lunch. The older workers that had gone shopping to the convenience store instead whispered things like, "Kids these days," and "lazy generation" behind their back. There is kids these days. I can't really argue with that one, but lazy generation, that's a little different. She had been told it would be better for her to drop the formal speech, but she had obstinately refused. As a result, the senior workers who had been expecting to welcome an easygoing rookie now thought of her as a hopeless weirdo, all in the span of just 3 hours since taking up her assigned job. First impressions and all that. From the pampering during the morning to the exasperated sighs in the afternoon, the atmosphere at the workplace had taken a drastic turn. And so did her life as a new worker continue. There was a world of difference between the training institute that had rewarded her strict attention to duty with high marks, and the real world that quickly tired of her attitude. Yep. Her plan to advance towards her dream had been thrown off course. Looking at her face in the bathroom mirror, she sighed over the loss of ambition she saw reflected there. It will escape. It'll escape? What? Where? Huh? Turning around, she saw a staff member of a different department. No, not just any staff member. No mistaking it, the cap she was wearing had ears. "I most humbly beg your apologies, Inquisitor of Heresy." Happiness. I have ears, but I am not an Inquisitor yet. Oh, excuse my pertness, Senior Aide. It will escape. For some reason, this conversation wasn't progressing very well. But this woman with the beautiful, long blonde hair had to be a senior aide that had passed the Inquisitor examination. Just passing the examination isn't enough to guarantee a place among the Inquisitors of Heresy. Each jurisdiction had a fixed number of Inquisitors on staff, so one has to wait for a vacancy. The aides that still lack a seat despite having the qualifications are called senior aides by the department. Those senior aides who would eventually become Inquisitors themselves acted as the right-hand men and women of Inquisitors, assisting in important missions. And, of course, they got to work in the front lines. I couldn't help but feeling a mixture of longing and envy swelling inside me. But hearing even a senior aide speaking this colloquially was sort of depressing. "Madam, forgive my impertinence, but if I may ask, what is it that will flee?" "Happiness." "Happiness? It will escape." "May I inquire as to why?" "Because you're sighing. Every time you sigh, a little bit of happiness escapes." She really took a roundabout way to express that simple sentiment. It's hard to believe that someone who seems to be having trouble to even carry on a simple conversation is actually a senior aide. But maybe that isn't all bad. Everyone thinks I'm weird now too. And if there was a chance for someone as strange as her to become a senior aide, it's not so bad to think there might be a chance for me. You should relax it. Are you referring to my posture? Yeah, that's right. Thank you very kindly for your advice. I will take it to heart. Your posture. Yes, I understood what you said. Relax it. What a strange person. Her way of saying one sentence fragment at a time is irritating in that it's difficult to understand. Of course, someone like me, who's practically obsessed with court language, doesn't really have room to judge. Maybe I'm the only one that bothers to fuss over court language. I wonder if I'm just trying to impose it upon everyone around me because the service regulations say it's the correct way of speaking. As I ask myself that, I can't help but hang my head and sigh again. When that happened, the senior aide changed her tone to a voice to a much faster. Or rather, it might be more accurate to say it changed the speed of a normal person and admonished me. An inquisitor's duty is to root out heresy, not converse in court language. I was speechless. There was nothing to be said in response. Perhaps if my lazy coworkers had said it like that, I wouldn't have given it a moment's thought. However, it was impossible to ignore the words of a senior aide. My most objective I'm sorry. It really had been a long time since I last used colloquialisms. It was almost embarrassing. As I hang my head low again, brushing in shame, the senior aide saw straight to my core. Without a word, she gently smiled at my self-reflection and gave me an understanding nod. She pointed at a notice attached to the bulletin board in the hallway. It stated that the Human Resources Department was taking applications for a proposal project. It was a request for motivated staff members to come up with voluntary public project, and the department would consider outstanding proposals for actual implementation. I had been so depressed earlier that my downturned eyes hadn't noticed the announcement. Please allow me to speak. Abruptly, the senior aide met my eyes and spoke in court language. In order to summon back your resolve, you must turn your eyes to your passion once more. I have high expectations of you. That was my first meeting with Senior Aide Gertrude. My first impression was of a quiet woman who was just as peculiar as me. Knowing that someone so strange, with that choking accent, had managed to pass the Inquisitor examination, gave me self-confidence. That was the extent of my thoughts. But really, she was an excellent aide. Anyone and everyone could recognize that. She just had a dull, awkward way of talking. She may not have had any real friends, and people may have found her difficult to approach, but everyone acknowledged that she supported the 7 official Inquisitors of the Sidestories from the shadows as their honorary 8th member. That's why I was increasingly inspired and decided to take on the challenge she had pointed out to me. I might have had problems dealing with the people in my office, but studying and essays are my forte. Since the deadline was soon, I decided to submit a short-term project. Halloween was just around the corner. That's why I decided to make Halloween the subject of my proposal. Halloween, huh? In the human world, Halloween is the time when ghosts and other apparitions can intermingle with that world. It was the same for those that weren't human. Since the travel restrictions between the human world and hell, the spirit world and such, are greatly relaxed during Halloween, it's a cause for much celebration. As is typically the case with celebrations, some rowdy folks tend to come out of the woodwork, to the extent that some of them cross the line. As such, petty crime always seems to abound during the Halloween period. Cornelia's proposal eventually turned out as Project Law and Order at Halloween. Of course, in the absence of the necessary arrangements and manpower, her project did not get high praise. Regardless, somehow she was elected for the jury's special award. It was a prize awarded to a project that tried to challenge the boundaries but couldn't be implemented due to budgetary and regulatory reasons. Well, it was no wonder that a hasty proposal wouldn't lead to a hasty promotion. Even so, it had been a great opportunity to display her true self and passion. If it affects her employee performance evaluation, perhaps her dreams of being reassigned to a more desirable department weren't so distant after all. For Cornelia, Minister 3rd Class, congratulations on winning the special award. Here's your prize, a pencil set. The Chief Clerk, Minister 1st Class, publicly awarded her the prize during the morning assembly. Her co-workers clapped their hands, but she could also overhear them gossiping unpleasantries under their breaths. She spent all that effort writing and submitting that project too. Bet she just wants to seem diligent. They sure are lively, kids her age. It's that generation, you know. For someone working where she sure has a lot of free time, submitting a project proposals and all that, what a strange character. Or maybe she doesn't like her current workplace. Apparently, that's how she seemed to the others. Not that this would be enough to dishearten Cornelia. Burning with passion, she thought back to her first days at the job and clenched her fists. The chief clerk did take some issue with Cornelia's interpersonal relationships at the office, but she also had an eye for her abundant passion and earnestness. That explained why she had printed out copies of the proposal and handed them out to the whole staff, setting Cornelia up with the opportunity to present it in front of everyone. Please allow me to speak. May I please present to you my humble proposal, titled Project Law and Order at Halloween. Chatter, murmur, whisper. Cornelia's chest puffed up with pride as she declared the outline of her project to the audience. First of all, the troubling matter of the various misdemeanors frequently committed by the fickle and frivolous demons and apparitions during the Halloween period. In order to prevent this, the various public agencies would each conduct campaigns from their respective positions. This has not traditionally been under the purview of the Great Court, but as the defenders of the law, there is no good reason to overlook the situation. The Great Court sees its job is to simply judge and nothing else, when in fact more effort could be spent on preventing people from having to be judged in the first place. Cornelia had written that the personnel of the Great Court should raise public awareness on the issue in order to prevent crime and other sources of trouble. Indeed, what she had said made a lot of sense. As the first step, know that it is only natural that the personnel of the Great Court ought to act exemplary in upholding law and order. Meaning what, in practice? The single most likely misdemeanor to occur at Halloween is violent behavior due to intoxication. It is impossible to educate intoxicated people about stopping acting violently. Therefore, it is better to crack down on the source of the problem, intoxication. As officials of the Great Court during the period of Halloween, we are subject to exceptional scrutiny involving any kinds of scandals involving alcohol. Know that in order to set a good example, all Great Court personnel would be forbidden from partaking alcohol for the entire duration of Halloween. In addition, due to its troubling misuse among the delinquent youth, smoking tobacco would be similarly prohibited for all staff. Chatter, chatter, chatter. Simply put, most of the staff was heavy smokers. People who were more or less heavy drinkers weren't a small part of the staff either. As for the staff members who neither smoked nor drank, well, at least among those present, Cornelia was the only one. We cannot expect to sway people's hearts towards exemplary behavior if we, members of the staff, do not first lead by the very example. Therefore, in accordance with this project, know that drinking alcohol and smoking tobacco has been heretofore prohibited for the staff of this department until the end of the Halloween period. Yeah, Section Chief approved that. Thanks for your cooperation, everyone. Chatter, chatter, chatter. Excuse me, there's that moon viewing party that the union's throwing next week, though. It was decided before Cornelia's project, so we get an exception for that, right? With all due respect, know that no exception from this project shall be made. To receive permission for drinking or smoking, it is required to individually submit a written application to the head of the department. Chatter, chatter, chatter. It hardly needs an explanation, but the moon viewing party was an annual autumn tradition, a get-together for the sake of socializing, building up friendships. A loner like Cornelia might have trouble understanding it, but for the rest of the staff, it was like lubricant oil that kept the gears of the office spinning. However, she couldn't see it as anything but a hotbed of evil where impulsive behavior provided fertile ground for impropriety. In addition to serving as an example, staff members are also expected to engage in the distribution of materials pertaining to raising public awareness at train stations, shopping districts, and other such places. The purpose of this is to seek cooperation and promote the project Law and Order at Halloween among the general public. Chatter, 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 chatter. That's overtime work, right? Throughout the whole Halloween? Do we get overtime pay? Section Chief said it's okay to file it under overtime pay, although the current term is already kind of overpacked, so I gotta pack up my kids and whatnot, so doing overtime would cause me all kinds of problems. Chatter, 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 chatter. It was supposed to have been a wonderful, passionate project. If we want to demand law and order from others, we must first demand it from ourselves. Right? Cornelia's chest may have puffed with useful passion and pride, but that didn't lessen the pain of having to hear the nasty whispering and chattering of the other staff members. Oh dear. Immediately that same evening, the chief secretary of the labor union had gone to talk directly to the head of the department. He demanded the withdrawal of the cancellation of the moon-wing party and the bans on drinking and smoking. He also wanted a swift response to the matter of withdrawing overtime work compensation. With drinking and smoking being individual rights outlined in the Constitution, prohibiting them is exceedingly likely to be considered a human rights violation. He requested rewording the ban from prohibited to endeavored to be prohibited. Regarding mandatory overtime work, he voiced a strict disapproval, citing public service regulations as well as reports of related court cases that had been stalked in the union office. He argued that in this case, overtime work must not be mandatory, but should be left up to each staff member's judgment, suggesting rewording the proposal so that everyone would endeavor to participate as much as possible. And as for the already planned moon-wing content, General Secretariat had already sent a donation, and the event could not be suspended without informing the cabinet. It would be quite enough to endeavor to uphold law and order and simply proceed with Halloween as usual. To ensure smooth negotiations with the union in the future, head of the department approved of all the demands. The word endeavor was added to every point of Cornelia's project, effectively defanging the whole proposal from all enforceability. However, Cornelia happened to love the word endeavor, so without giving it much thought, she agreed to all the amendments. The day turned to the next. Cornelia was astonished to see that the clouds of tobacco smoke hanging over their workplace had not lessened in the slightest from yesterday. When reminding her coworkers that they should have been making every effort to abstain from smoking at Halloween, they told her, "Yeah, I've tried many times already, but it's not so easy, you know. I'm endeavoring to stop, though. I work better when I smoke. Look, I've got to finish writing up the settlement by today. But I really am trying to stop. It's just so hard, you know." Same answers every time. Non-smokers wouldn't understand. Now off you go. Then what about abstaining from drinking at least? I thought they could at least apply self-discipline during the moon party, but not a single member of the department staff present did agree to that either. And although I hadn't explicitly said anything, my name had already been marked as the party attendance list as the sole absentee. It did save me the effort of turning the invitation down myself. Maybe it was for the best. "Hello, we're from the court department. Is Minister Cornelia here?" "Sir, may I humbly inform you that I am Cornelia. We brought the public awareness tissues. They're all packed right here. Hey guys, from over here. Chop chop." They were young police officers, but they had made a lot of noise moving a bunch of large cardboard boxes. The police were a large part of the law and order at Halloween campaign, so they had secured a lot of goods to distribute. These goods were tissues for raising public awareness, with the slogan, "Drink moderately for a fun Halloween party. Don't let alcohol swallow you," printed on them. Distributing goods daily in the station and in the shopping district adds up to a considerable number, so upwards of tens of thousands of items had already been arranged. "Cornelia, are you going to give these out?" "That is indeed the case. All of these shall be distributed in the shopping district." Chatter, chatter, chatter. "Actually, that place where the boxes are now, it was cleared out in advance for next week's deliveries, so think you can get rid of them by next week? As long as everyone helps with them, an amount such as this will be cleared out in a matter of moments. Know that there will be absolutely no problems." Chatter. Giggle. As evening fell, Cornelia was waiting at the staff entrance with a cardboard box perched on a trolley and filled with promotional tissues. Tissue distribution was only to be done by volunteer employees only. Staff was expected to endeavor to participate as much as possible. But in her heart, she already knew. She decided to wait no longer and started pulling in the trolley with a huge cardboard box towards the shopping district in front of the station, all alone. The orange sky of the evening was beautifully blending into the purple of the night. As if remembering that the summer was already over, there was a slight cool to the wind. Within the crowds of people rushing over to the station, she selected a suitable street lamp as her base of operations and opened the box. Inside, she found it crammed to the brim with tissues for raising public awareness. An unwilling participant giving them out couldn't convey their intent right away. That's right. In that case, it's better that they didn't come. Besides, I had already resigned myself to carry this out with nobody helping me. Sir, I beg your apologies. If it may please you, allow me to request your understanding and assistance in upholding law and order during this year's Halloween period. For the people walking down the road, unaccustomed to court language, my speed was unusual enough to turn their heads. My uniform must have seemed strange as well. In order to get their attention to the hustle and bustle of the huge crowd, I had to speak loudly enough to strain my voice. Even so, I had a lot of trouble distributing anything because people didn't seem to understand me. Even when they somewhat understood me, what I was saying sounded so stiff that they didn't feel it was worth stopping their feet. One by one, they all passed me by. Perhaps they were right about court language after all. But even if I changed to regular speech now, I'm so unused to it that I probably still couldn't communicate with the passersby. For law and order at Halloween, please, your understanding and assistance. I can't do it. I can't raise my voice. It's just no use. Why? Because, for me, court language itself was a dream, a symbol of my ambitions. It was my dream to become one of the Inquisitors of Heresy, those who mete out justice. I didn't want to let anything make me lose heart. That is why. So when I'm forced to speak colloquially like this, I can feel it bending my beliefs, and it makes me sad. The people hurrying home were momentarily curious about the unusual uniform, but whether they would accept the tissue was another matter entirely. It would have been fine for her to distribute her goods in local bars or karaoke places. Unfortunately, Cornelia had no concept of such tricks. Her difficulties in giving out the tissues made her remember a story she had read in her childhood. And when she realized that right now she was the very image of the little match girl, her depression only deepened. I've been clinging on to the same dream since I was only a child. Have I really come this far with my eyes blinded from the reality? Is this what happened to my age-long admiration of the Inquisition? Having lost her flow, not a single passerby made any motion to accept her offerings, as if they were all deliberately conspiring against her. Law and order at Halloween. Your assistance, please. Struggling with embarrassment, I resorted to regular speech in order to be understood. On that day, resolutely keeping at it until late at night, I had finally managed to distribute half a box of tissues. There were still a stack of 5 more boxes left at the office. I have to distribute entire boxes worth a day, otherwise it'll be impossible to clear them all in just 1 week. I had kept standing the whole time, so my feet were painfully exhausted. From tomorrow on, I'll have to endure both my regular and overtime work on aching feet. It doesn't even need calculating. It's impossible for one person to distribute everything within a week. Obviously, I had knowingly ordered that much, after all. Why? Because it was the right thing to do, so I obviously just assumed that a lot of people would want to help out. So if there's many of us handing things out, I thought it was necessary to make an order large enough for all of us. Nobody came to help me. After working overtime until late at night every day for an entire week, I wanted to silently ask myself something. What was that I really wanted to do? What was it that I had to do, no matter what? I had learned how to give out leaflets. I had picked up some tricks like handing out 2 or 3 at a time, and had gotten faster at the job, but despite all my efforts, I was still only halfway done as the final night approached. Tonight was the night of the department's planned get-together, the viewing gathering. Immediately after the chime had marked the end of the shift, all of my seniors got on a rental bus and went to see the cherry blossom trees by a riverbed somewhere. And tonight, I alone was moving a cardboard box on a trolley to the station, preparing to give out tissues until the night falls. Yep, and it's not just tonight. Yesterday and the day before yesterday too. Or maybe I've been doing this forever. Speaking of the moon viewing, I heard that tonight it was going to be an especially large, bright white full moon. I found myself thinking that maybe my coworkers would, just this once, cooperate by refraining from drinking. No, they have no obligation to that either. My purpose here is to appeal to the crowd to spend the night peacefully, not disturb my coworkers' social gatherings. An inquisitor's duty is to root out heresy, not converse in court language. The same logic applies to both, does it not? I feel like I finally understand what Senior Aide Gertrude was trying to tell me that day. Even so, I'm still stuck in the same rut. I don't see any possible way to clear out this box by tonight, and even if I did, there are still a few full ones left by the workplace. What should I do? I wasn't just throw them away. I should probably ask if the police would take care of the leftover ones. Now that I think about it, even police told me I was ordering more than enough, didn't they? I had probably announced in clear court language that it was indeed the amount we required. How goes it? The thing you're doing. It was Senior Aide Gertrude. In the span of this entire week, I had not seen her even once. In other words, she doesn't normally use the station. So she must have expressly taken the time to come look at me here. She offered her outstretched hand. Before I knew what was going on, I was giving her a tissue that I had twisted from gripping onto it so tightly. She accepted it, and took a sidelong glance at the cardboard box with all the numerous tissues still remaining inside it. She did not say anything. Or no, maybe it was like before. By deliberately not saying anything, she was silently admonishing me. The dreams made during childhood are no more than childish dreams. She must have read my resume. She knew I had written about that on my job application. Reality is always different from one's ideals. I have no room for rebuttal. Changing one's ideals accordingly means changing oneself. Ever since the first day of my assignment, my expectations had been betrayed. Even though I got the job I always yearned for, it was nothing like what I dreamed as a child. For that very reason, I ignored reality to keep chasing my dream. Right. The perfect job that I imagined clearly only exists in the TV. That drama series about inquisitors that I watched in my youth. I was so excited about the world of that show that at some point I had turned my eyes away from reality. Two options. Pray tell. Will you change the world? Or will you change yourself? Know that doing it is impossible. Which one? Either, madam. If you're trying to promote your immature and unrealistic ideals alone, nobody will sympathize with you. And for someone like me who has been clutching onto those ideals, those childhood dreams, for all their life from cradle to this moment, changing them is just not going to happen. Saying the world is wrong and I am wrong have effectively the same meaning. Changing my misguided self is exactly the same as changing the entire world. It's never going to happen. You are not cut out for this. What might you be referring to? Cut out for this job? For my ideals? What for the reality? The senior aide did not answer. Just like on that day, I silently posed my question to nobody but myself. Sit down. Huh? On the floor. I beg your pardon, do you mean right here? Sit. In the middle of the crowd, Senior Aide Gertrude folded her legs underneath her thighs and sat up straight on the ground. Thinking I was about to get scolded as usual, I followed her example. I braced myself for the scolding, whatever may come, but she stayed as quiet as ever. Once again, the silence just made me question myself. But then, she abruptly held up a single finger, and in the first point she was about to make, as in the first point she was about to make? No. She wanted me to look at what she was pointing at. But where was that? Above? Moon viewing. A perfectly white, round moon. Perhaps all of my coworkers from the department were also seeing the same thing right now. I could already imagine what tomorrow morning was going to be like. Their conversations would probably be filled with phrases like, "The moon sure was beautiful last night," and so on. I may not be present at the moon viewing party, but perhaps I might be able to join these conversations, at least. Please, allow me to speak. Senior Aide Gertrude spoke, in court language besides. She spoke using the words nearest to my heart. Dreams, ideals, as well as their realizations. Know that these are not things that can be achieved alone. People will not listen to ideals. Madam, my humble apologies, but if I may inquire, if that is the case, in what way am I to achieve my ideals? To that question, Senior Aide gave a quiet answer. People will not listen to ideals. People will not listen to others. But people may listen to their friends. So if you talk to your friends about your ideals, they might even offer you their help. No matter how grand your ideals may be, if your words cannot convince anybody, you may as well be blowing hot air. How does one convince others, then? There is no other way than for your hearts and minds to interact. Regardless of your ideals, that comes always first. Without communication, nothing can be conveyed. There we were, the two of us in the middle of the nighttime crowd in front of the station, sitting straight up on the ground and looking up at the moon. Somehow, despite the lack of sake and dango, and while feeling oddly calm in this congestion of people moving back and forth, numerous enough to be called a veritable forest, we were having this strange moon-viewing party. It's true that I may be inexperienced as a member of the society. Perhaps I could be called one of those typical uncooperative youngsters. Perhaps I'm all the worse for waving my aspirations around like a flag. Maybe I had already made some big mistake a long time ago. Quit your job? How do you plan on getting reemployed if you quit? In this day and age, just getting a job in the first place is difficult enough. The time I had for quitting my job and reorganizing my life passed long ago. Actually, the last chance you get for reorganizing your life is probably around the time you graduate middle school. But is that everything my passions amounted to? Was it all really just a misunderstanding? Am I not where I am today for the sake of the dreams I believed in? It turned out that Gertrude had taken care of the cardboard boxes still left at the workplace. Now they didn't have to be in the way at work anymore. I didn't know how, but it seemed she was aware of all the circumstances surrounding me. Later on, I learned that she was an acquaintance of the chief clerk, who had some concerns and asked her for advice. As a newcomer, Gertrude had been similarly eccentric and suffered her share of hardships as well. The chief clerk must have thought that without it, coming from another girl like that, I wouldn't take their words to heart. Ideals, reality, myself, the world. Unless they all come together, nothing will be accomplished. Perhaps that is what being an adult is about. I'm sure an inquisitor must have grown up to that extent at least. And for someone as immature as me, it's not a suitable job in the least. On that day, I was finally able to let go of the most purely immature part of my childhood dream. Or, no, I don't want to call it letting go. I told myself to call it a fresh start. My aim is to be an Inquisitor of Heresy. However, that's not what's important. Before that happens, I want to become a full adult. And if I can accomplish that, then perhaps I shall remember my childish dream once again. Having said as much to her, that night was over. Wow, would you look at that? Did you hand out all that stuff from those cardboard boxes all by yourself? No, there were many. Oh, you dropped the court language? I'm not used to speaking like this, so it's embarrassing, madam. The chief clerk was smiling. Senior aide must have told her about everything. She probably knew all about my child's dream, my conflict with reality, and my decision to start anew. I felt like my heart had been laid bare, and embarrassment rose to my cheeks. You know, being an adult isn't decided by age or employment. You gotta take a good look at the life after that. You gotta become mature to figure out what adulthood is. Cornelia, you're young, so you might be frustrated, thinking you're running out of time to do that. But that's not true, alright? Life really is long. I hope that someday you can be what you really want to be. Me too. The tedious, woefully inadequate, and unchanging workplace seemed just a little more relaxing than usual. Did you bring your lunch from home today? Tomorrow, let's get everyone on the shift and have lunch at the local sushi place. It's decided then. Remember to leave your lunchbox home tomorrow. Anyway, give section chief your project summary report later. Also, could you get me a cup of tea? Yes, madam. This was the story from long, long before Cornelia became a member of the Eisern Jungfrau. This abundance of tissues is unnecessary. There was a heap of tissues piled up on Dillinore's paper tray. Gertrude had divided the tissues between her colleagues, and that heap was a portion of it. That is your portion. They're very useful, like for drying up spilled tea, cleaning a dropped piece of candy, wiping your nose, wiping ketchup from your cheek. All very relevant to you, boss. They are not necessary. Stop treating me like a child. I don't want them. You're annoying me to death. The recent ketchup incident was still a sore point for Dillonor, who was now puffing her cheeks in disagreement. In that case, they're not tissues, they're documents. Therefore, madam, please allow me to submit them for your approval. Please stamp each and every one of these tissues. Stamp. My stamping is finished. Finished. Every hair on Dillinore's body was standing on end. It was like she was covered in rash. Despite being in the management, Dillonor had a phobia of stamps. This was a torture, inflicted in order for her to get over it and start stamping things. That young newcomer came to Gertrude's mind. It made her remember her own time as a newbie, such bittersweet memories. Before I knew it, I had forgotten about my own passions. I wonder when that happened. At what point did I become something resembling an adult? Let me go. The ketchup and seaweed won't be a problem today. I'll be fine. Without realizing, Gertrude had been patting the head of her ever-youthful superior. The head Inquisitor of Heresy herself seems the least adult of us all. An amazing story about some background character no one remembers the name of. Yep. Umineko Tsubasa. I'll have to say that's actually my favorite story so far. Yeah, I have a bit of a soft spot for heavy hitting ones, less so the lighthearted ones. I will admit that chocolate one was pretty funny. But wow. Yeah, that quite honestly reflects a lot of my view of the world. I really do stand for holding on to your ideals and your dreams. I personally don't really have any lofty goals or ambitions or childhood dreams, which has been a problem for me for a long time, but nevertheless, I'll always support people working towards their dreams and goals. Um, Not always, but yeah, always. Um, and there's always that dissonance between reality and what you expect them to be, and that point where it just hits you where it's not like that, is it? And you either have to change the world or change yourself, like she said, and that's exactly what it is. But, and it's not a part about, it's finding where that balance is. How much are you willing to change of yourself, and how much truly is yourself? Like Cornelia, for instance, her speech, she embodied the court language from the story, and giving that up was like giving up part of herself. I can totally see that. But at the same time, I guess a way of looking at it is more maturing, realizing that doing it all the time is kind of childish, but it's okay to do it in parts, as long as you don't fully give it up and just change the direction a little bit. You'll get through it. I like that story. I can relate to it somewhat. Alright, we got 15 minutes. Let's see what we got here. Whose tea party? Burncastle has received an invitation to a tea party. Just who sent this? Well, let's enter the forest and find out together. Do you know the tidings the wind brings? The wind is truly carrying them along and whispering in our ears. How are you, Burncastle? I'm hosting a wonderful tea party. Please do participate. Umineko no Nakakoto ni whose tea party? Who on earth is this invitation from? But since she is inviting a witch, she surely must also be a witch herself. How interesting. I'll go along with it, as long as it distracts me from my boredom for a short time. She was guided by the wind. What Burncastle came to was a dense and gloomy forest. If someone were killed in this forest, no matter how much they screamed, no one would hear them. A perfect forest for a witch's tea party. In the entrance to the forest, there was a large stump carved in the shape of a chair, as well as a small sign. Welcome to the witch's tea party. You surely must be tired from your long journey. Please take a rest on this stump. Burncastle stared at the stump of a chair, and then spoke. Yeah, I get it. If I sit on this, I will be caught in a trap and bound by chains or something of the sort. A cherry pie or something will come falling from above, and I'll be made into a laughingstock. That must be the plan. That was close, that was close. Burncastle was nearly made into the tea party's entertainment instead of its guest. She continued down the forest path. There she found a raspberry thicket and a small table placed in front of it. Raspberry juice was placed on top of it. You must be thirsty. Please drink this. Burncastle stared at the glass of juice and then spoke. Yeah, I get it. Anyway, that must be poison, so when I drink this, my stomach will break down and I'll be made into a laughingstock. That must be the plan. That was close, that was close. Burncastle had seen through another trap. As she made her way through the forest, at all the places she went to, various traps awaited Burncastle. Please eat this. It's a delicious akabia fruit. There's no way I would fall for that. Anyway, it's obviously poisoned. Won't you play around a bit? Here's a feng swing, entwined with ivy. There's no way I would fall for that. Anyway, it's obviously a trap. I could see through it. Eventually, in the deepest part of the forest, she encountered a house made of candy. You have truly done well. Please knock and enter. I wonder who the host of this ridiculous tea party is. I do hope they at least bestow me with a look at their face. Oh, that's right. This house must be a trap too. I have to be careful. Berncastle hid her breathing and stealthily peeked inside the house. Inside, Lambda Delta and Featherin were drinking tea and having a friendly chat. Bern will come. She has an even more deeply skeptical nature than a cat. She will suspect this is a trap and turn back on the way here. It seems as though the two of them were arguing over whether Berncastle would come or not. Bern will certainly come. I swear it as the Witch of Certainty. And there's no way she'd be afraid of traps, whether it's chairs or drinks or snacks. So that she'll enjoy this tea party in the forest, I've come up with plenty of plans to welcome her. Bern will enjoy herself and make her way here. Let's see. I wonder about that. I have known her well since she was a Miko. She is far more clumsy, stupid, and easily frightened than you think. Her heart is not big enough to understand your plan. That was back when you were around, wasn't it? She's different now. Ever since she started playing with me, she's become more open. She's different than she used to be. I wonder about that. No matter how much you feed it, a stray cat will never become attached. This tea party shall remain for the two of us alone. She'll come. Bern will certainly come. The Witch of Certainty swears it. She won't. She won't. She definitely will not come. I shall swear it as the Witch of Theater going. And she'll come. She's changed since she started playing with me. Bern went back along the forest path at a quick pace. Was it because she'd realized it was a trap and turned back? It seemed like something different. It's because Aurora said I definitely wouldn't come. I feel like doing it out of spite. The last thing I'd want to do is watch that bitch expects. Yeah, that's my only reason. I have absolutely no intention of doing it to honor Lambda's foolishness. Bern muttered that to herself, but rapidly retraced her steps along the path. Since she intended to participate in the tea party, why was she going back? There she came across the entrance of the forest. A stump of a chair and a small sign. Yeah, I really am exhausted from walking so much. Welcome to the Witch's Tea Party. You surely must be tired from your long journey. Please take a rest on this stump. I'll take you up on that offer. Bern sat down on the stump chair. She had taken a very roundabout way of doing it. But still, it seemed she had finally participated in Lambda Delta's tea party. See, I caught Bern. I certainly knew I'd be able to catch her. You, who I had thought were as deeply skeptical as a cat, to think you were caught by a trap of this level. You don't disappoint. No, you really don't let me get bored. That's right, I really have changed. Thanks to Lambda, I've become incredibly stupid. Berncastle, on top of this stump chair, was wrapped in thick chains as the cheesecake came tumbling onto her head. It stuck on top of her head, almost like a hat. A trap had been set so that this would have happened to whoever sat on the stump. Did you enjoy it? My entertainment? It was passable. If this had been a plum jam pie instead of cheesecake, I would have given you a perfect score. Oh no, the cheesecake suits you perfectly. It truly matches well with your hair. Natto and an Okara jam bottle would probably suit your head best, Aurora. Now that Berncastle had arrived, the Fun Witches tea party had finally begun. Umineko no Nakakoto ni Tsubasa. Alright, that was the short and simple and silly little witch's tea party. Alright, I think we got 3 left, if I remember right. Tea party. Yeah, we got 3 plus Godas. So, we'll leave that for tomorrow. And see, Goda's, Schrodinger Goda. if we'll get to it or not tomorrow. All right, this has actually been a fun little route. Thank you for showing me it. I had no idea this thing existed. It's fun. It's interesting, and I like little behind the scenes and silliness. Actors being complete dorks. Anyway, I've had fun. Thank you for a good time. I hope you have a good day. Take care.